Australia has produced so many great artists and musicians over the decades, spanning numerous genres including pop and hip-hop to rock and heavy metal bands and everything in between. While many artists and bands manage to steer clear of controversy throughout their careers, there are many that have caused controversy through their music on purpose or through their personal lives, managing to ruin theirs and their bandmates' reputations along the way. Let's take a look at 10 controversial Australian artists in no particular order. At number 10, we have Will Wagner from the Smith Street Band. The Smith Street Band formed in Melbourne in 2010, with the band quickly finding fame in their hometown through their live shows and rapid release of 3 albums over the span of 4 years. The band's third album, Throw Me in the River, peaked at number 18 on the charts. Album number 4, More Scared of You Than You Are of Me, peaked at number 3, scoring an 87 on Metacritic. In February of 2019, frontman Will Wagner was accused of harassment and emotional abuse of Georgia MacDonald, the lead singer of Camp Cope. The accusations were made off of the back of a particularly nasty breakup between the two. Emails and messages sent from Wagner to MacDonald circulated around social media, stirring up a load of backlash. Support acts dropped off the band's 2019 tour, with the tour ultimately cancelled. The Smith Street Band bounced back 1 year later in 2020 when they released Don't Waste Your Anger, which peaked at number 1. At number 9, we have entertainer and musician Rolf Harris. Harris was known for quite a few things, including inventing the wobble board, multiple popular songs such as Tie Me Kangaroo Down Sport and Jake the Peg. Harris was also known for multiple popular TV shows, including The Rolf Harris Show, Rolf's Cartoon Club, and Animal Hospital. In 1985, Harris hosted a short educational film titled Kids Can Say No, which would be incredibly ironic decades later when the public found out about what he was accused and convicted of. Despite receiving many honours awards in the UK and entertaining millions, Harris would become a household disgrace in March of 2013 when the police commenced Operation U-Tree in the UK. 12 people were arrested over the alleged offences that were sexual in nature. Harris was eventually convicted in June of 2014 on all 12 counts of indecent assault, with the victims being minors. More charges followed in 2016, but Harris was ultimately acquitted of the recent charges. Harris served 3 years of his sentence, released in 2017. By 2022, Harris was reported to be suffering from neck cancer before passing away in 2023 at the age of 93. At number 8, we have 1-4, a drill and rap group formed in Mount Druitt in 2014. 1-4 quickly rose to fame as the pioneers of this style of music in Australia through their singles starting from 2017. The group later went viral on YouTube, with In the Beginning achieving more than 1 million views in 48 hours. Many of 1-4's singles over the years have achieved either gold, platinum, or multi-platinum certifications. In July of 2018, a violent brawl erupted at the Carousel Inn in Rooty Hill, which was a result of an argument over racist comments that escalated. By December of 2019, 3 of the 4 members were convicted and sent to jail for varying lengths of time, with 1 member deported back to New Zealand. 1-4 started having trouble with the police, with Strikeforce Raptor paying close attention to the group when they caught wind of their lyrics having the potential to incite gang violence. The police have tried pretty much everything they can to stop the group from rapping about outlaw bikies, postcode wars, and inciting violence. The police even tried to have Spotify take down their music, with multiple successful attempts to have the group's live shows cancelled. The group's first EP, Against All Odds, released in November of 2020 and charted at number 7. The group's debut album, Look at Me Now, charted at number 2. In 2023, a Netflix documentary released titled 1-4, Against All Odds. At number 7, we have This Is Serious Mum or Tism, formed in Melbourne in 1982. Tism are known for their alternative, dance and electronic rock music fused with satirical high and lowbrow lyrics. Tism have been around for more than 4 decades, causing plenty of controversy along the way. One of Tism's earliest controversies began in 1986 when they released their debut single titled Defecate on My Face, which is a love story between Hitler and Eva Braun. Hitler wants Eva Braun to defecate on his face after a hard day's work. All 4 sides of the vinyl packaging were glued shut. In 1989, Tism tried to release a book titled The Tism Guide to Little Aesthetics. The group were threatened with legal action over its contents, so they had to heavily censor the book with whiteout, permanent markers, and stickers. 4 years later, controversy struck again when the band tried to release an EP called Australia the Lucky Cunt. Courts issued an injunction order when the Ken Doane Society threatened legal action over the artwork, which was a parody of Doane's signature art style, which depicted a koala sucking a syringe. The matter was settled for a sum of money. The EP was re-released with a new cover art entitled Censored due to legal advice. There'll never be another band like Tism. At number 6, we have Aidan Holmes from Dealer. Holmes is an Australian metalcore vocalist who had previously performed vocals for Alpha Wolf from 2016 to 2018 before he was booted from the band for sexual misconduct allegations with a history of violence. Holmes eventually went to court, where the charges were dropped due to a lack of evidence. In 2019, Holmes launched a new band called Dealer. In 2020, every band member left Dealer apart from Holmes. The band had played minimal shows in Australia at this point, as Holmes continued to be cancelled. In 2023, Dealer tried to mount a comeback with new music. Not much happened until 2024, when another lineup change occurred again. 2024 was a big year as the band toured the US in support of Attila. In 2025, Dealer tried to play Moe's Desert Clubhouse in Queensland. It's possible the venue didn't know the history of Holmes at the time, but they found out quickly when the venue's staff were bombarded with messages threatening violence. This is incredibly ironic with no self-awareness. The venue cancelled the band's show within 24 hours. Dealer won't have a future in Australia's live music scene anytime soon. At number 5, we have Sticky Fingers, an indie rock band from Sydney. Sticky Fingers rose to fame by releasing a string of 3 well-received albums from 2013 to 2016 with platinum and gold certifications. The band peaked with album Westway in 2016, taking out the number 1 spot on the charts. While the band were riding a huge wave of success, they were about to hit some major controversy. Dylan Frost, the band's vocalist, had abused and threatened singer Thelma Plum and a boyfriend outside a hotel in Sydney. Frost apologised publicly, referencing his bipolar schizophrenia, mental health issues, and alcohol addiction as partially to blame. In that same year, Frost was accused of shouting racist remarks at Indigenous band Dispossessed. Frost vigorously denied these claims. Not long after the band returned to performing, Frost was allegedly ejected from a pub in Sydney after arguing with a transgender person. In 2018, Frost publicly apologised with a statement taking accountability. More trouble followed in 2021 when bandmate Paddy Cornwall and Frost were out drinking at Marrickville Bolo for 6 hours before they were kicked out. The pair got into a massive fistfight. Cornwall beat the living shit out of Frost until emergency services arrived. As a result, Cornwall was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment to be served in the community. More controversy followed in 2023 when the band were added to Bluesfest. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and Samper the Great left the festival over the inclusion of Sticky Fingers. As a result, Sticky Fingers stepped off the bill. At number 4, we have Bliss and Esso, a hip-hop trio formed in Sydney in 2000. It took a little while for Bliss and Esso to really pick up steam with 2 mediocre albums before releasing the album Flying Colours in 2018, which went platinum and peaked at number 10 on the charts. The next 3 albums also went platinum, peaking at number 1 or 2 on the charts. In 2014, Esso landed in some hot water when he posted multiple Instagram photos of himself with wax statues in LA. The pictures were deemed to be in poor taste as he threatens to punch wax Rihanna and poses inappropriately with Lady Gaga and Raquel Welch. Esso apologised publicly soon after the public backlash. A few years later, the trio was swept up in further controversy, this time out of their control, when professional stunt double Johan Offner was shot and killed while filming the band's music video for Friend Like You in Brisbane. The death was completely avoidable, with armourer Warren Ritchie supplying a shotgun that was illegal for theatrical productions, including homemade shotgun shells. There were 5 failures that led to the death after a coronial inquest was performed. This included failing to complete a firearm safety briefing, not testing the firearm to establish safe distances, failing to consider more costly and safer production options, and not realising there were aiming difficulties associated with firing from the hip. At number 3, we have Wolfmother, a rock band from Sydney that really needs no introduction as they were massive and inescapable in the early to mid-2000s. The band's initial massive success came when they released their debut self-titled album in 2005. Most of the band's initial fame came from no other band doing what Wolfmother were doing at the time, which was reviving 60s and 70s classic rock. Wolfmother's influences are immediately obvious, which are primarily Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. Woman and Joker and the Thief were instant massive hits, however, they had a shitload of haters soon after as the band failed to maintain the success, with each subsequent album being worse than the one before it. After the first album, the rhythm section left the band. Stockdale launched a failed solo career and handled production for a lot of Wolfmother's worst albums, with some sounding downright horrendous. Wolfmother has mostly been the Andrew Stockdale show ever since. At number 2, we have The Football Club, a folk punk band from Melbourne that formed in the mid-2010s. In 2017, The Football Club was starting to find their feet after winning the 2017 Triple J Unearthed competition. As a result of the win, the band were added to the 2017 Splendour in the Grass lineup. Controversy began in the same year when lead singer assault and manipulation. As a result of the backlash, the band pulled out of the festival and were kicked off of supporting shows. The band split up soon after. At number 1, we have Iggy Azalea, female rapper extraordinaire hailing from Sydney. Azalea started out in 2011 when she moved to the US at the age of 16 to pursue a music career. 2 music videos were created for songs Pussy and 2 Times, which were uploaded to YouTube. A debut mixtape followed, with Azalea signing to label Grand Hustle, owned by T.I. Controversy strikes early for Azalea when in 2012 she caused controversy for her song Drugs, which was a remix of Kendrick Lamar's Look Out for Detox. Azalea adapted some of the lyrics to When the Relay Starts, I'm a Runaway Slave Master. People were thoroughly unimpressed, taking aim at her perceived insensitivity of the complexities of race relations and cultural appropriation. Azalea later apologized. People also take issue with Azalea rapping in an American accent, accusing her of further cultural appropriation. Despite the controversy, Azalea finds success. 2014 arrives and Azalea releases debut album, The New Classic, which features songs such as Fancy and Black Widow. It's a huge success, going gold or platinum. More controversy takes place in 2015 when Azalea is pulled from a Pride event in Pittsburgh. Azalea had previously made homophobic, racist and sexist comments on social media, which she later apologized for. Azalea caused a stir again in 2023, this time with the Saudis. Azalea was performing at the Gamers 8 esports tournament in Riyadh when the performance was stopped by Saudi authorities. The authorities weren't happy with lyrics from her song Goddess, which were deemed to be blasphemous. The lyrics were preaching about prophets, it ain't no one man can stop us, bow down to a goddess. Iggy Azalea has sadly retired in 2023. So there we have it, 10 Aussie artists that did shitty things with varying consequences, with some even managing to weather the storm to continue on with their careers intact. Let me know what you thought of this list down below in the comments. If this video receives a positive response, I'll be sure to do another. Thanks for watching.